Welcome to the Activations with JJ Energy Update for March 29th, 2021. I'm so glad that you could join me for this little episode of just kind of resetting us for this week and giving us some guidelines or activations or anything that will help us to sort of shift and do what we need to do here. I'm so grateful that you guys co-create with me every single week. And I just want to remind you that it always helps if you do listen to me on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to subscribe, to download the episodes, and to leave a review and a rating. I am so appreciative of those, as when those occur, it actually allows other people to be sort of attracted, it's put in front of them, and other people can join in on our co-creating here in this space. As I have been preparing for this week, I have definitely been kind of in a state of a little bit of unknowing. I'm not going to say confusion, because really I don't feel like that's what it is. But it is a state of unknowing. I have been exploring different energies to connect with for this energy update. And as you know, if you've listened to other energy updates, I usually bring in a different energy entity to channel. It's usually a collective energy, as here on Earth we tend to be in a very individualized state. But beyond this, there's more of a feeling of collectiveness. There's more of a feeling of a we than an I. So many of the energies that come through use that pronoun rather than I, which is actually really fascinating if you think about pronouns and how in our world today that has become a topic. What pronouns to use, what's politically correct to use for people, whether or not we should be able to create ourselves and name ourselves according to what we want to be. But then again, taking that even further and deciding, maybe we'll get to a point where it is we and we do. I don't know, it's so crazy to think of that. But really, there's a place for individuality and there's a place for collectiveness. I'm not saying I disagree with individuality, because I do believe that we came to this planet to experience that sense of individuality. If you've read any Dolores Cannon works, then you'll know from her different sessions that people bring forth times when they really did feel like they were part of one big collective energy. Sometimes they'll say that they're a color and they're just floating around. And a lot of times when people go back to source, as she calls it, that is the feeling that they have as well. But it's really fascinating to kind of think about that and to sit in that feeling of unity. And you know that if you've been listening over the last couple weeks, and that I've focused a little bit on that, and that the energies I have brought through have focused on that. Today, as I was thinking about the synchronicities of this last week, because oftentimes when I go to record an energy update, I tap into an energy that has presented itself to me the week before, just kind of like knocking on the door or leaving little breadcrumbs and kind of priming me for the channeling. There have been several different energies that have come through, like little signs. I'm going to name them, and then you guys get to go on a little journey with me to figure out what energy I'm going to be bringing through, because I think they're all little kind of hints or little clues to what it is. So some of the themes that have been coming up for me have been the moon. I was conversing with the moon, or I don't know if you would call it conversing, but talking with the moon, communicating with the moon. That's probably the best way to say it. Communicating, a two-way communication with the moon happened for me. It's a full moon, and that happened for me. So that's one little clue. And it included light language. So I felt like I was speaking almost kind of a very native feeling tongue, very ancient. Also, what has come up for me is Egyptian energy. And so I thought, well, maybe I need to bring through some Egyptian god. So I went to explore that, and I just knew that wasn't right. And so then I felt like the words Egyptian but Lemurian came through. And if you read Dolores Cannon, you will see that some people refer to the fact that when Lemuria was quote unquote destroyed, but not really destroyed, I think if I remember right, it was like an ice age that came through. Some people did survive, and they ended up going to where Egypt is now and starting the Egyptian civilization. There were other ethnicities, I guess you could say, other groups that formed part of the Egyptian culture, but the Lemurian was one of them. So it was kind of like I felt like it was Lemurian through Egyptian came through. So then I'm like, okay, if it's Lemurian through Egyptian, I'm feeling a very ancient tongue. So then again, I tap into this energy that I've tapped into, and I cannot remember right now the episode, so you'll have to go back and look. I wish I could remember which one it was, but it was a very, very ancient energy. And when they came through, they said, we're so ancient, like we're not on your history books. A lot of people think Lemurian and Atlantean are the kind of oldest, and or those are the ones we refer to. This one is older than that, because the history of our planet is much, much, much older than we surmise. And then even spiritual people who have channeled and things like that have dug into. That's just kind of my feeling on it. There was an episode not too long ago where I referred to, well, it was an energy I was channeling referred to the new becomes old and the old becomes new. And I do feel like this is part of that. There's still a very ancient energy that is seeking to connect with us now to complete a circle. To complete like a round is the word that's coming to me, a round, a circle, a cycle. They need to completely connect with us and fully finish out this circle. So I think that's the energy that I'm going to go ahead and bring through. And again, if they label themselves, great. If they don't, sometimes I'm not big on labels, and so I don't call forth like names. Usually if I do, and it's one I wouldn't have known before, it does come through in their tongue. It comes through in light language. So my intention to try to do that for us, because it is interesting to put a label on an energy. One of the reasons why is a name is like an image. It's an access point into an energy. So when we say a name, it's not necessarily to individualize it or to set it apart. It's more to create a doorway for us to go through and enter or to connect with that energy. So I will set that intention as I sit in this energy and invite you to do the same. And we'll just begin to breathe, surrender, relax, all of those things that we do when we are preparing to receive a message. We come in the quiet. We come in the peaceful beginning of this planet, when all was at rest, preparing for the great blossoming and expansion of this planet. We come from a time of gentleness and tranquility, a subtle time when energy flowed, when colors were muted, when tones were soft and sweet, and when the inhabitants of this planet were still. We invite you to sit in the energy of that time, for you are correct as we seek to unite the old and the new, so that the energy of our time may more easily flow into the energy of your time. You are our children, yet we are yours. You are us, and we are you. Allow that knowledge to permeate your being. Allow yourself to feel into those statements. In a sense of wonder. We invite you to begin to get curious, to begin to push beyond what you've been taught about the history of this planet, so that the veil may be lifted from your mind concerning the infant stages of Earth, concerning the civilizations which are your roots and which were intentionally preparing for this particular time of shift. We do not, as is customary, have 3 particular messages for you, as most of what we are transmitting is simply a connection. And we ask you to breathe into that connection. As we begin to provide a language which will amplify and assist you in creating that link. Hashala anai shtotala. Alo onai shalata ana. Alo dina ashtanala. Inhale to receive. Exhale to transmit. And the connection is now established. We thank you. We look forward to communicating with you further. All is well. All is well. All is well. Well, my friends, thank you for joining me today. Let's sit in this connection and let's feel into it and see what happens. I sense great things coming from this, and I appreciate your role in co-creating with me. I hope you have a wonderful week. The divinity within me honors the divinity within you. Namaste.